You ever have that feeling, like you're just completely lost? Maybe you're just going through the motions, even with something you used to be so passionate about? Well, today we're going to dive into a story about what it's like to hit absolute rock bottom, and about the one really simple truth that can pull you back from the edge.
So it all starts with a pretty raw confession. I mean, just imagine this for a second. You've built your dream, right? You beat the odds. You know, the ones that say something like 90% of new businesses fail. And after all that work, you feel this in your bones. It's not just some statistic anymore. It's your truth. And that feeling? It's like being in a constant free fall, you know? Intellectually, you know what you're supposed to do. You see the systems you need to build, but you just can't. You can't make yourself do it.
And then the paranoia kicks in. This absolute certainty that you're about to lose it all. You become convinced, just totally convinced, that everyone around you, your clients, your own team, they can see right through the act.
And really, it all just boils down to this one single word: a fraud. You're propping yourself up every single day, putting on this show that everything's fine, but inside, you're just gone.
So, how does someone even get to a place like this? Well, it all started with the American dream. He was an entrepreneur, Hands on his hips, chest out. His whole identity was wrapped up in what he did. But then, around year 3, something shifted. That dream started to sour. They call it the fourth-year slump. And listen, if you've ever felt that fire you started with begin to fade, you know exactly what this feels like. The novelty's gone. That passionate thing you were chasing, now it's just a business. The energy that got you through those first few years it's spent. And that desperate little thought starts creeping in. Maybe I should just get a regular job. Anything to make this feeling of falling just stop.
But right there, in all that darkness, something clicked. A realization started to dawn on him. He wasn't any less capable. He wasn't any less smart. The problem, the diagnosis, it wasn't a failure of ability. No, it was a failure of perspective. Basically, he'd lost the plot. The problem wasn't what he was doing or even how he was doing it. The real problem was that he had no idea why he was doing any of it anymore. He'd forgotten his why. That fundamental purpose was just gone.
Okay, so how do you find your way back from that? Well, the answer, and this is the ironic part, it isn't about looking forward. It's not found in some strategy session or in market research. No, it's about looking in the complete opposite direction.
See, your why, it isn't something you just invent in a boardroom, right? It's a process of discovery. It's already there. It's been woven into the patterns of your life from the very beginning. You have to uncover it.
Think about it like an archer. An archer's eyes are locked on the target way out in the distance. That's the future. But where does all the power come from? All the momentum? It comes from pulling the arrow backward, a full 180 degrees away from where it needs to go. Your why? That is the backward pull. It's all the tension and the history and the experience that gives you the force you need to fly straight and true. And look, this isn't just some feel-good theory. This exact principle is behind one of the most revolutionary companies in history. Yeah, let's talk about Apple for a minute.
Apple's why wasn't born in a garage in 1976. Not really. It was forged in the culture of the 60s and 70s in Northern California. It grew out of this really deep-seated belief that the little guy, the individual, the dreamer, they should be able to stand up to the giants. Their whole cause was about empowering the rebel. Technology, that was just the weapon they chose to do it with.
I mean, just look at their history. It's this consistent pattern, this series of rebellions. Before Apple even existed, there was the Blue Box, which let people challenge the phone monopoly. Then the Apple computer took on Big Blue, IBM. The Macintosh challenged the text-based standard of the day. And the iPhone, it completely turned the entire mobile industry's power structure upside down. You see, it was never ever just about the product. It was always about the cause. And this quote from Steve Jobs, it just says it all, doesn't it? This is the ultimate expression of a why. It's not, I want to sell more computers. It's, I want to change things. I want to make a difference. And it was that clarity, that purity of purpose that drew in a whole tribe, employees, customers, investors, all of them believing in the exact same thing. Okay, so that kind of clarity, that kind of purpose, it's incredibly powerful. But how do we find it for ourselves in our own lives? Well, it starts by completely changing who or what we think we're competing against.
Let me tell you a quick story about a guy named Ben Komen. He's a high school runner. Now, when the starting gun fires, the rest of the pack just surges forward on the damp ground. But Ben is left behind almost immediately. See, he has cerebral palsy, which affects his movement and his balance. So he runs his race pretty much alone. He falls, and he gets back up.
Ben always finishes last. He's usually covered in mud, bruised, totally exhausted. But then, something incredible happens. After the other runners finish their own race, they don't just go home. They turn around, and they run back to finish the race with Ben. Think about that. He's the only runner out there who inspires his competition to come back and help it.
And this, right here, is the profound lesson Ben's story teaches us. When your goal is to compete against other people, you just create rivals. Nobody really wants to help you win. But when you compete only against yourself, when your only goal is to be better than you were yesterday, suddenly everyone wants to help you. People are drawn to that kind of inner purpose.
So the reason this really matters for you, for me, for all of us, is this. What if we showed up to work, to our lives, every single day with one simple goal? Just be a little bit better than we were yesterday. What would change if our only real competition was our own potential? Just imagine that shift in mindset for a second. It's no longer about beating the competition. It's about finding other people who believe what you believe. It's not about sitting across a table trying to get a better deal. It's about standing shoulder to shoulder, chasing the same goal together. And that is where real loyalty and trust actually come from.
So, I'll leave you with this one last thought. That arrow of your life, it's being pulled back right now by all of your past experiences, by your deepest beliefs. And it's aimed at a target that only you can see. So the only real question left is, what ding will you put in the universe?